George, welcome to the podcast.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, mate. Very well. You've got a bit going on at the moment, and I'd like to start off with fatherhood. So you're expecting pretty soon. What are you most excited about?
I'm expecting very soon. Could be while we're on the podcast, potentially. If we do a Houdini and cut it early, it's because I'm going to labour.
Yeah.
This has come up for me a little bit recently. I went to an event interstate earlier in the year, and two things that they spoke about in that event, one of which was something called obligation. And they asked us a few questions, and it was like, all right, well, what is your obligation? And that's the first time I've thought about that deeply since my wife conceived. And traditionally, I would have said something about me. I'm quite good at being selfish. I always try and put myself first. I prioritize, my own self-care before anything else. And that has brought me a lot of success, sure. But for the first time, I was like, holy shit, my obligation is about to change dramatically. It's no longer going to be just about me. And I started to think about I've got a keen interest in personal development. I understand how the brain and nervous system and that wiring of said systems, eventuates into you being an adult. And I was thinking about that in relation to my son. And I was thinking, okay, now I actually have to think, how am I going to raise my son? What kind of behaviors and values and habits am I going to instill in him? And how do I want him to perceive me as I step into that fatherhood role? And I'd never really deeply reflected on that until I sat in that. I was in a seminar room and I was sitting there and I was like, oh shit, my obligation is about to expand much beyond just me. So the thing I'm most excited about is, I guess it's a new challenge, right? I'm going to learn to navigate what it's going to be like to be a dad, how I'm going to instill those behaviors in him. Who am I going to have to become, or who do I need to step up and be in order to be the best possible father, role model, friend, companion to my son? Big task.
Raising a kid these days, have you got some fear? Are you scared about any elements of their development growing up?
Definitely. So without bagging out the education system too much,
Go for it.
I think the education system is predominantly a crock of shit. I think we're sent into the education system largely to do as you're told. What that looks like for me in raising my own son, I'm not sure yet. I know that there are alternative means of education. I think that the social aspect of school is very good, but largely all I learned from school is how to do as you're told and be compliant and how many wives Henry VIII had, and no one gives a fuck about that anymore. You don't learn about business, you don't learn about entrepreneurship. All of the additional education I've amassed after school that I've spent way more money on than I ever would have in a traditional education, that's what's brought me a lot of skills that I have today. So I think about that in regards to him, and I think about how I would want him to grow up and what I would want him to see. Do I want him to be exposed to a lot of the same stuff that doesn't really, like the education system is being stress tested right now in the last 5 to 10 years and kind of being proven to fail. Like it's pretty clear that the education system doesn't give you a hell of a lot. So I'm watching that play out and I'm like, okay, I want him to be social. I want him to be exposed to that kind of community feel, but I don't want him to go down the same avenue that's leading everyone else to a difficult scenario. So I guess I'm not sure yet. I've looked at different education options. I've looked at some Rudolf Steiner stuff. I've looked at some Montessori stuff. I've looked at a little bit more interactive ways to educate him. Obviously, I've got across the daycare and what do you call it? Pre-primary, daycare and pre-primary first. But obviously, I mean, you're in the coaching space, so you will know this, but most of the neural pathways in your brain are pretty well hardwired by the time you get to 8 years old. So your future kind of just is dependent on what goes on for you between the age of 0 and 8. So I think a lot of people thrush their kids off to daycare, to pre-primary, and I understand people work and that's what works for some people, but that is actually the most crucial time of your child's upbringing where you get to decide how they're going to be influenced, and that will filter into their teenage life, into their adult life. So it's something that my wife and I have talked about a fair bit already, and something we're going to have to try and navigate as best as we can, but also as balanced as we can. Reality is I can't move to rural New South Wales and never see anyone and grow my own food and drink the rainwater and we never see anyone. You know what I mean? You have to find ways to integrate into society as a normal human, but also do that. And that's something I'm going to have to battle with. Yeah.
Does your appetite for risk or the lifestyle you see, is it going to really change a lot?
That's a good question. I've thought about this because Well, to be completely transparent, this year has been a big business growth year for me. At the start of the year, I said that I was going to spend some money on my personal development this year, but not in a personal development setting, in a business development setting. So I did. And I've been learning and educating myself about traditional business models and acquisitions and things like that. And it's funny, obviously life is a bit of a frequency game, right? So when you're in that frequency, you get opportunities coming towards you. And since the beginning of the year, I'm like, for want of a better word, opportunity is shitting all over me at the moment. And I'm trying to navigate, all right, well, hang on a minute. If we do this and it doesn't work out, I now have ripple effects beyond just me and my wife. There's now someone else that's going to be depending on us. So I think that my entrepreneurial brain wants to go that way at 100 miles an hour. Yes, yes, yes. You get the horny rabbit syndrome. You just want to hump everything, right? It's yes, yes, yes. But my logical brain is saying, well, hang on a minute. If you say yes to everything and this goes tits up, normally my fallback plan is all good. I'll just lock in and fix it. But now there's, I guess, collateral damage off the back of that in regards to my son. So I think it will affect my risk appetite. Do I think it will dim my entrepreneurial spark and, I guess, quest for growth and knowledge and, bettering myself? No.
How do you look at opportunities? Do you feel you should have like one main thing that you just grow the fuck out of it? Or do you, when you see that shiny object come, what's your approach?
I think this is something that most people struggle with when they're in a place that they're at trying to get to somewhere else, is they think that you need to dig 10 wells. I think that having 10 wells is good, but you don't need to dig 10 at the start. Most people that have amassed any amount of success dug one well really fucking deeply, hit water, and then allowed that water to disperse into other wells, which helped them amass wealth, if you want to call it that, right? Most of the time, people are like, I've got to dig 10 wells. You end up with a bunch of shallow holes everywhere and a spade that you've, overused, when in reality, I think it's good to have, but you need to dig one first, make that your thing, right? You've got your chiropractic business, that's your well. It's a deep well. It's a very functioning well. Don't fuck with it. Don't try and dig 15 other wells. Dig this one really deep first. And I think that approach is where most people fall short, because they want to do 100 things at once. You can do those things, but you kind of have to stagger it. Dig a few wells, dig 1 or 2 wells deep, let them produce fruit or, hit water, and then disperse from there. Yeah. And that's how most really successful people have done it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's only a shift I've probably adopted in the last 12 months when I've really seen because quite often we have a world that's actually really good, and we don't realize if we actually commit the next 10 years to that well and get better and better and better, that well is going to be you're going to hit water. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we think things aren't going quick enough. Things don't look as sexy because it's the same thing. You're just doing the same thing. We see another opportunity, another type of, another object, and we can get, lured into that. And I think for me now personally, especially being a very like ADHD opportunity, I get excited, but and that's a good thing. I think you probably feel like similar.
Yeah.
But like there's part of just doing the same thing and just getting fucking good at it. As long as you're in the right vehicle. I think if you got the wrong vehicle, you're fucked regardless. But you got the right vehicle and something that you've developed like a lot of competency in, and you see an opportunity, just keep going.
I think the right vehicle is your feedback mechanism for knowing you're on the right track. Like if you're in the wrong vehicle, life, whatever you want to call it, if you're religious or spiritual, there's something going on that we can't quite explain. You can term that how you will, but that has your back. That's not sitting up there saying, let's just shit on him. Let's give him what he doesn't want. It's got your back. And when you're in the right groove, life will give you feedback. Call it whatever you like. McConaughey calls it green lights. I call it black book entries. At times in your life when you're in sync, the universe, God, whatever thing will wave the flag and say, hey, keep coming, keep coming. If you haven't had one of those for 2 or 3 years, maybe you missed the turning. Maybe you should have done a left back there. Maybe you were supposed to go right at the roundabout. But if you're going through life and you're having little, green lights, little feedback and signs and synchronicities that it's working, that's the path.
Absolutely.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah. And often there'll be that hockey stick inflection point.
Exactly.
And I felt like it's funny, like in the last probably years of saying, I always refer back to the last 12 months where within my chiropractic business, I really saw a hockey stick inflection point. There's just a couple of levers that weren't quite right. And we got them right. It's, oh shit, I can actually really start to see where we're going. And if you started to get distracted at that point where you just before a hockey stick inflection or just as you start kicking off, you miss out on that massive return that you're going to get.
And I think that's life that's life's way of testing you, right? Normally right before that happens, the carrot, the little dangly carrot comes out and you're like, ooh, hang on a minute. You get the horny rabbit syndrome. Yeah, you want to hump everything. You become a yes man. You do a bit of work on yourself, you become a yes man. You want to say yes to everything, but actual fact, some of those things are the carrot, and you've got to be mindful not to, sway from the path too much.
Definitely. In this current environment where there's a lot going on politically, stuff with Iran, US, all that sort of stuff going on, and obviously I know you pay a lot of attention to that. Where do you see crypto?
I've been thinking about this a lot over the last couple of weeks. I've got a little trading Discord that I run. It's, it's free. There's quite a few traders in there now. And something that I noticed within the Discord is that a lot of people are kind of the same, right? Chasing that shiny object syndrome. I think in a blanket statement terms, cryptocurrency is a means to insulate yourself financially against inflationary pressures, currency debasement, the devaluing of the dollar, et cetera, et cetera. However, there's a big caveat to that. A lot of the time, people like to look at things that have happened previously and assume that that's how it will happen moving forward. Now, in crypto terminology, I'm not what's considered a Bitcoin maxi. I don't think that it's just BTC and everything else is completely worthless. However, I do think that if you are going to hold something long term, it is very, very clear that Bitcoin will outperform everything else as a store of value long term. And I think people get distracted by the dangling carrot of meme coins and altcoins and the future of finance. And the reality is that 98% of that is dog shit. And it will slowly, or sometimes even quickly, trend to zero. So I think that crypto serves a place in our future. I think that crypto can provide a very, very good, fast wealth creation strategy. However, caveat to that being that you should use that money. Let's say you get rich in crypto and altcoins or meme coins, right? You should funnel a percent. This isn't financial advice, but you should funnel a percentage of that into Bitcoin to insulate yourself against, as I said, currency debasement, etc. Then you should pull some out and you should put some of that cash into income producing vehicles outside of cryptocurrency, like a cash flow positive chiropractic clinic or whatever, right? That way you insulate yourself as best as possible. I don't think that crypto is the answer that everybody thinks it is, but I think it can help you to insulate yourself against what will come in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Good advice. What other assets do you see opportunities in at the moment and over the next 5, 10 years?
I think that you can kind of ask yourself this as a personal question. Like, I don't invest in the stock market massively, but it's a good metric to judge yourself on. Do I think that this business industry company is going to be here in 10 years' time? Whether you agree with the green energy movement or not, do you think that fossil fuel companies are going to be as big in 10 years' time as they are today? Me personally, no. I think the whole global warming thing is a crock of shit, but that doesn't matter. That's not where the attention is. The attention is on a move to renewable energy. So renewable energy is probably going to perform well. Some other sectors like biotech, medical sciences, artificial intelligence. It's kind of like the hot potato of what's hot and trending. So those sectors typically will produce outsized returns. I personally don't actually trade the stock market. I focus on, I've got a cash flow producing business. I'm looking at other businesses which kind of serve as an extension of that. I trade the financial markets, specifically currency, gold, and the cryptocurrency markets. They're kind of my two wells, so to speak. They're both deep. I do those very well. So I think that in terms of opportunities outside of a traditional business model, there is a lot, but it depends on the sectors. And I think that it's a good question to ask yourself, which is something I always try and fall back on. Do I think this is going to be here in 10 years' time? Because if the answer to that question is no, then don't waste your time or money. If the answer to that is yes, then there's a further research to be had. And I think that these days people are looking for all these different ways to get ahead. And that's really good and that's great. But to speak on crypto again, right? I've been crypto asset rich before, very crypto asset rich. Some of that wasn't liquid, some of it was locked investing, and there's a story behind it, right? But I've been asset rich and cash flow poor. I've also been cash flow rich and not as asset rich as I was before. I would choose cash flow rich, asset poor every fucking day of the week and twice on Sundays. Having numbers on the screen doesn't mean shit. Having a massive house with loads of equity in it and 100 grand a year salary doesn't mean shit. I think that, if someone is young and up and coming and looking for ways to get ahead, if you can build yourself a cash flow positive business model first, use the profits of that to diversify into other asset classes, income producing vehicles, etc., you will put yourself in the top 5 to 10% straight off the bat. Everybody wants a quick fix, and that little model there is how most really wealthy people have done it.
Interesting. That leads into my question I was going to ask you. personal advice for me, because I feel like I've got a very good acumen in brick and mortar service-based businesses.
Okay.
And as I've got older and a bit more understood things, I've realized that's my thing that I understand.
Too well.
That's my world that I understand. It doesn't have to be chiropractic is my world at the moment, but the same principles will apply to a lot of brick and mortar service-based businesses. So for me, I don't have a high investment acumen. I've made some terrible decisions in terms of investments and crypto. And for me, my philosophy is like backing the horse. I know I can back myself in terms of with business and just grow that, reinvest in myself. So for someone like me, my question is someone who's low investment acumen and probably hasn't got the time to really understand that at a high level, but they've got a really good cash flow positive business. What would be your advice for them?
So in general terms, not financial advice.
Yeah.
I would so everybody likes to knock Buffett and his strategy, right? He's one of the smartest investors of all time. And there's a very good reason for that is he employs somewhat of a hands-off approach. So people will message me and ask me about trading all the time. And the first question I will ask them is, tell me about your life, right? So in your case, quite a high functioning individual. You've got a traditional business, you've got podcasts, you've got probably a pretty strict exercise routine. So if we break down your entire week, you're probably going to tell me that you have less than 4 to 5 hours free every week, maybe even less, depending on how busy you are. If that's the case, then you're not going to fall into the elusive Instagram sexy day trading avenue because that requires 5 to 10 hours a day, in which case you would just shut the door on that and not get distracted by that carrot. In comes Buffett's strategy. You've got a cash flow positive business. You're looking at different ways to diversify. Don't overcomplicate it. Sit down for 1 to 2 hours a week, automate some dollar cost averaging buys into whatever asset classes you want, whether it's the stock market, indexes, real estate investment trust, BTC, whatever tickles your fancy. Do I think this is going to be here in 10 years time? Yes, cool, sweet. Set up your DCA strategy like that, and that allows you to do everything that you're currently doing, which is fulfilling, exciting, you're good at it, it produces returns, and integrate that into your current life without it taking over your life. Most people's perception of investing and things like that is that it needs to consume you. For most people, that's not the case. I work away, I've got a wife, I've got a dog, I've got 2 kids, I've got, I train mixed martial arts, 6 times, whatever. Okay, cool. Well, then you're not going to be a day trader, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So find something that complements your existing lifestyle, and it'll be a lot easier for you to upkeep that investment approach versus, I need to sit down and look at the charts all day. That's actually quite boring and
opportunity costs when you have
correct.
When you have a proven model that's
correct.
really gained.
So I would say that. I would say find something that complements your existing lifestyle without overcomplicating it. And if you've got a cash flow positive business model, which you do, then you can easily funnel a percentage of that into other vehicles.
Which is what the last 12 months I've started doing.
There you go.
Index funds and BTC.
Yeah, perfect.
It's dollar cost average every week. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, cool.
And you kind of don't have to, this is the caveat that I was saying with crypto, right? Is that most people want to bag hold all of these different altcoins because they're waiting on the 1000X, right? In 2018, I learned how to trade foreign exchange first, then crypto, foreign exchange and gold, and then crypto. Since 2018, I have had 2 really, really good Hail Mary returns, right? One of which was on a tiny amount of money, one of which was on quite a lot of money. That has happened once. And I have sat in front of the charts near on every day for the last 7 years. So the elusive, I'm going to make the big, that's bullshit. It's complete bullshit.
What happened with your biggest win?
It was, what was it? It was, I think it was a 37X on 50K. 37X on 50K in a day, something like that. It was like 50 grand into 1.2 or 1.3 something. And I was working the 9 to 5 at this point. That was my first quick million. And I remember this very clearly. I was standing on the roof of a unit in like Manora or somewhere like that. I was working in the building inspection industry. I was standing on the roof of this unit, and I pre-saled into this token at like $10, and then I rebought again the liquidity pool at like 110, and it launched, and on day 1 it went to $3,700 a token. And I remember looking at my phone thinking, holy shit, it would take me like 6 or 7 years to earn this amount of money. And it was kind of like, that was when the penny dropped that like, okay, I need to start taking this more seriously, and I need to use this as a segue to get me out of the 9 to 5. But as sexy as that is, and as much as that's a cool story and it sells on Instagram and it's clickbaity, that's not reality. And most people get distracted by that outlier, when in reality, your approach, dollar cost averaging into BTC, that will 10x 90% of people that try and go for the quick fix. But that's not sexy and it doesn't sell, so people don't do that. But the approach that you're employing will outperform most traders.
Yeah, the one I'm recently employing last 12 months because I went the other way, and then I had a story because I didn't have the acumen around crypto, so I had a bunch of like capital that was sitting there. And basically a mate gave me a tip one day. It was a Saturday morning. I was in the clinic treating clients, and he's like, "Fuck, there's this coin that," and I had no acumen in this sort of space. He goes, so I bought like a bunch of like ETH. At one stage, just bought heaps of it, like when it was pretty hard, but still went up a bit at the time. And I had a bunch of ETH in there, and I was like, okay, well, he messaged me, goes, get on this coin. And he's messaged me. I was in the clinic with clients. It was like 7 a.m, and then like every hour he's messaging me. I'm looking at my phone. I should be between clients, and he's like, man, it's doubled, it's tripled, it's gone up 4x, it's going fly every hour, and I'm gone. Fuck, I need to get out of here. I need a mail. Because I'm a tech retard. I didn't know how to. It was on a different exchange. I didn't know how to buy it. So once I finished my last client, got in the car, pulled the fishtailed out of the clinic, just went flying to his house in West Perth, and went flying up the door. And I just like, and I'm like, let's fucking go. He's like, bro, this is going up like 10, 15x today. And I'm like, I'm on board. Yeah. And just threw like 8 ETH into this at the time. Stupid. Yeah. Stupid. So this is about, I forgot how much it was. And then in the space of 3 hours, it went up $180,000. You
didn't sell a single bit.
Didn't. So what we did, we were sitting at some cafe in Mount Lawley.
You're on the Lamborghini. You're on the Lamborghini website. You were halfway through specking a Hurricane going, I've made it.
Bigger. We'll talk about super yacht. I thought we fucking made it.
Yeah.
We fucking made it.
Yeah.
You know, and then literally it just went up and up and up, and then just stabilized that night, and we're just like, life's different. like we fucking made it.
Yeah, we made it.
And then
I'm not even going to the clinic.
Like it dips a bit, and we're like, fuck, if it went up like one more decimal point or whatever, like that, that would have been like 1 point something million. Next up, we're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Right, hit the lottery. So anyway, went to bed. The next day I woke up, it dropped just a bit. And then I had Father's Day, we went to the golf course doing putt-putt. And then I hit the golf course, and every fucking hole, she was dropping like 10%. It was just tanking. So it went for like 180K up, like 3 hours. And it was worth about $5,000 in a fucking putt-putt. And I just went, that's what happens when you become a greedy fucker. And you go, oh, that's a pump and dump.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, because I had no acumen in it, got greedy. Greed took over, and just fucked up. But for me, I'm like, I don't look at things too. That's a lesson. Keep in your lane. If you do things, small amount, test. But more importantly, just keep in your lane.
Yeah.
You know, like what you're saying.
I think crypto also warps your perception of what returns are actually possible. Like in the crypto world, 50 to 100% return is very, very normal. But in reality, that's like 5 to 7 years of S&P 500 returns. And people aren't satisfied with that. 50 to 100%, it's going to go higher. Going to go high. We're going to do the 10x, 20x. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You've just outperformed the benchmark of financial history in a day or two.
I know.
Take profit.
Great.
Use that profit, roll it into, something like BTC, use that to build your hedge against all the other things we talked about. Doing that with a level of discipline, you will outperform everybody else.
How do you stay grounded with crypto?
I had this conversation with my wife recently. I think you kind of desensitize to the numbers on the screen. Like it really does just become numbers on a screen at the end of the day. I'm actually, to be completely transparent, I'm less exposed to crypto than I was last bull run for the reasons that I just explained to you before. I was asset rich last bull run. I unfortunately got wrapped up in the FTX scandal, which, cost me a lot of money and time. So I've adjusted my approach this time. I'm less allocated to crypto this bull run. Not allocated, but just not as much. And my focus has gone towards cash flow producing businesses, assets versus holding lots of crypto. So it's become easier to adjust to those numbers. But at the end of the day, I think it's not for everyone. And I should preface it by saying that crypto, if you're not that way inclined to risk, will turn your hair white. You can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot on leverage plus the house, the kids, the car, all the rest of it. So if you don't have that level of risk appetite, stay away because it'll turn your hair white. Just employ a DCA strategy and keep it clean and simple. But it's been long enough in the financial markets now where I kind of detach from the number, which I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes I guess that's a good thing.
Not being emotional is a good thing.
Not being emotional is a good thing, but it's also good to have that kind of reality check sometimes. So being completely emotionally detached from the number is also the part of you that keeps you in check, right? It's your little gut feeling or your feedback. So I think somewhere between those two is the sweet spot. And I think I probably oscillate between the two. At the moment, I'm oscillating on it's just a number on a screen. So how do I stay grounded? I think it probably goes beyond just crypto. I think a lot of people's whole life revolves around this: extreme highs, extreme lows, right? Physically, sexually, financially. It's kind of this tug of war that most people play with themselves. I think if you can stop that and have it do something like this instead, or this for that matter, it becomes easier dealing with those challenges. I have found that the more, this kind of leads into my, the last few years, massive focus on health, is that the more I have focused on my physical health, optimizing myself physically, keeping my nervous system in check, life is just a little bit easier. Like, everybody goes through shit. Everyone's got shit going on. There's no one that's got more shit going on than somebody else. Everyone has their own things. I think your ability to stay grounded in that, whether it's crypto, a divorce, a financial setback, whatever, comes from your ability to regulate yourself so that you don't do this and you do this. And I think that would be my answer. I've spent a lot of time doing that the last few years, and it allows me to navigate things a little bit more balanced than I did before.
Interesting. My next question was going to be, what's the biggest shift you've learned from trading that you've applied to your life? Well, we just answered that then.
Probably not health, because at the time it wasn't health. So when I learned to trade, trading was my first ever exposure to personal development. So in 2017, I think August, I watched a video on YouTube of a guy in Brisbane taking delivery of a black 2017 Lamborghini Huracan with a body kit and the sports exhaust. And his name was Lewer, and he runs an online education company now. I remember watching this video going, I want a Lamborghini. He's not that much older than me. He's got a Lamborghini. I don't. So what the fucking hell what's he doing? And I clicked on his thing, and it was like he ran a foreign exchange trading education platform with a lady called Amy. They were business partners at the time. And it was like $500 or $250. And I was like, oh, I'm so fucking in. This is it. I'm going to be a trader. I'm going to learn how to trade. And I bought the course, and the first lesson of the course had a video on the law of attraction by Bob Proctor. And I had never, ever had any exposure to personal development before, ever. I had a bit of a entrepreneurial spark on things that I'd looked into and worked on, but that was my first sort of education-based PD work. And I watched that video, and something inside me went click. And I was like, right, this is my lane. I need to literally become a walking encyclopedia on personal development as fast as fucking humanly possible. No more socializing, no more doing anything. I just need to learn how to trade. That set me on a trajectory, which has ultimately led me to sitting here now. But in the pursuit of learning how to trade, this is why most people that learn how to trade aren't successful. Trading brings to the surface all of the shit that you don't want to look at psychologically. Greed, fear, FOMO, stuff that you're not even consciously aware of what's at the time, or what was 7 years ago. So as a 25-year-old, I was fairly intelligent, but like not self-aware to the point that I am now. That was my first exposure to, wow, I got a bit of shit going on here. I got some FOMO, I got some fear, I'm struggling to navigate my emotions. The reason that there's such a discrepancy in trading performance is because if you and I have the same trading plan, we get different results. Why is that? That's because between us reading that plan and executing it, something occurs. It's normally something that's up here between these two points. And the pursuit of understanding that sparked my, I guess, mindset journey. And that was the biggest thing from trading was, holy shit, this isn't just about looking at the charts and analyzing candlestick patterns and things like that. I have got a ton of self-development work to do, and that's what's holding me back from trading. And I'd never even considered that would be a possibility. So that would be my biggest takeaway, was that it became very apparent it was a psychological game and it had nothing to do with the charts.
Yeah, it's interesting how you said that, how, like, I think doing anything that's high pressure, high performance, or relationships, so that's trading's high pressure, high performance, having a business, relationships seems to be, these are things that all bring out, or someone's doing some incredibly difficult physical pursuit, they're going to bring to the surface all your bullshit. And I think big part of performance is making the unconscious conscious. And for me, I've really realized that now, the deeper I've gone into actual inner work, which is the last probably 3 years, but like just really building it, as opposed to what I thought was personal development, which was more business development.
Yeah.
Previously, and that's why there was so many mistakes I used to make. And you're always making mistakes, but then I realized your business is really a reflection of yourself. If you want a big business, you got to do a lot of work on yourself. You can't have a big business and do it. Otherwise, you're going to hit it. There's going to be a point where things just continue to get revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it kind of plays into we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but have you read The Holographic Universe by Greg Braden? Okay. So assuming that life is some kind of hologram, or we live in some kind of holographic universe, then essentially what you're saying is validated, right? Your business is you. The charts are you, your relationship is you. It's kind of just holographic reflections of what's going on for you as an individual. So the things that you're unclear with in your business have nothing to do with the business. It's a mirror. The things that's why isn't this trading plan working? It's got nothing to do with the charts. Why is my partner annoying the shit at?
Correct.
Right? It's kind of like this, well, it's a bit of a rabbit hole, this holographic nature of reality, which is that it's a fine line between everything is my fault and it's poor me, me, me. It's not that. It's just, how are these different scenarios, business, entrepreneurship, health, relationships, wealth building, whatever, what are they showing me? Who do I have to become? How is this mirroring things about? What do I have to stand to learn from this, etc.? I think that is the thing that you're alluding to.
That's the growth. It's continual feedback.
Yeah.
And as things get bigger and bigger, more complex, and you can still, like, the person you have to become becomes higher.
Correct.
And then what gets you to that level, it's not going to get you to that level. It's not
correct.
And if you want, you want amazing health, amazing relationships, you want a fantastic business, good relationship with your kids, you can have that. It's fucking hard because, it's a reflection of you. And people can't just want it. They got to embody it, and to embody all those. And they're like, there's a lot of different, we all know people who are very successful. They might have all right health, but normally where's the faulty point? It's relationships.
Most of the time, yeah.
That's the time I find.
And I think somebody actually, I did an exercise on this a few years ago. I forget who it was with, but it was about when you idolize somebody, right? And it was about navigating who you idolize and what it is that you actually idolize in them. Like, for example, let's say that one of your idols is somebody like Elon Musk, right? What do you idolize about him? Is it his wealth? Is it his pec size? Is it his t-shirts? Is it his fashion? Is it his car? There's something that you idolize about him, but in reality, would you trade places with him tomorrow? He leads quite a stressful lifestyle. He's got, I don't even know how many kids with all these strange names, but there are facets of Elon's life that you would actually not take tomorrow. So when you're idolizing and comparing and looking at other people, it's like, okay, can I look at them as a whole instead of just, I'd love his money? Well, maybe you wouldn't love his health. Maybe you wouldn't love his relationship. Maybe you wouldn't love lots of things about him, and therefore you wouldn't trade places with him. So you kind of have to catch yourself in that, admiration era, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. So life, it is and it isn't a buffet. You can't pick. You can pick and choose what you want to focus on, but you're not going to get the best of one person who's excellent at that, and they'll take that, and I'll take that, and I'll take that, and I'll take that.
Yeah.
And when you're learning, you can take inspiration from these sort of things, but you can't be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be like just what, like 10 out. I feel like it's almost like if you have points for every bucket of life. You can do things that increase your capacity so you have more points, but in the end, you've only got so many points.
Yeah.
And different seasons you have to allocate. You're moving into
a different season.
Yeah. So there'll be things that, like, if you were like very stretched with your fitness relationship and your business, and then you got a kid on the way, something's got to give. Like, you got to either look at that system and change that system, or if you do have extra time, it's like, that can just slot in. But like the different seasons is and even do you feel there's going to be a bit of an identity shift?
Hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. I don't actually know what it's going to be like, to be honest. It's something that I think about regularly because it's unknown to me. I guess everybody has a little bit of a fear of the unknown, right? And for me, that's the largest unknown that's going on in my life right now. Like, I'm quite logically minded, I'm quite analytically minded, but this is a foreign territory for me. I don't know what this is going to be like. I don't know, it's uncharted waters. So I think about it, but I don't really have an answer for it.
Okay, interesting. In terms of like self-alignment, self-awareness, like knowing yourself, how have you got to the point where you seem like you're pretty clear on who you are. You seem very authentic. How did you get to that point?
I can't tell a short story if my life depended on it. So I will start from the beginning. So, okay. When I left school, my parents wanted me to be an engineer because if you went to uni and got good grades, then you were going to make it in life. And that wasn't for me. I A, don't like being told what to do. B, didn't want to go to uni. C, didn't want to be a fucking engineer because my parents told me to. So I left school and I did a plumbing apprenticeship. And that plumbing apprenticeship, obviously labor force, I had a good work ethic. I've always had a good work ethic. That was great. Then I learned how to be, then I finished my apprenticeship and I did my contractor's ticket and I was going to start a plumbing business. And after I did that, my boss at the time, he actually put me on a little bit less money than I was expecting. And it was like a bit of an ego blow. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out. So at the time I was either going to start my own plumbing business or I was going to buy my first house. I picked the house. After I bought my first house, I actually decided I would leave plumbing, and my old man asked me if I wanted to give him a hand doing some building inspections. He was like, your plumbing knowledge is good. You can come and help me do this. So I was like, cool, let's do that. That was my first exposure to commission-based work. So we got paid per job. And because I had a good work ethic, I doubled my income overnight. I was like, holy shit, I'm never going back on wages ever again. Leave me on commission. I don't want a base salary. Well, let me do the numbers in my head about the jobs we're going to do, etc. So I did that. I had a bunch of different entrepreneurial startups. I had an emoji air freshener thing. I got about 1,000 emoji air fresheners in the garage if you ever need one. I had an inflatable photo booth that I used to run on the weekends with those little Polaroid cameras inside. I sold that to a friend of mine. I wrote a substantial business plan for a luxury car hire business, got finance approved, couldn't get insurance. A couple of e-commerce stores, tons of shit. And I was kind of like, all right, like I need, as I said to you before, I need multiple wells, right? And then I stumbled across trading and I was doing building inspections. I was learning how to trade and I was running the photo booth business on the weekends. And I stumbled across trading and I was like, right, this is online income. I can do this from my laptop. I can do it remotely from anywhere in the world. And the ROI here becomes more exponential. There's only so many photo booth gigs I can go and stand out and smile on, 5.5 hours on a Saturday. So I kind of channeled my focus into the trading avenue. My goal at the time was I couldn't see past my sort of inertia point of I've got to get out of the 9 to 5, right? That was everything to me. I've got to get out of the 9 to 5. So I used trading as a tool to do that. At the time, obviously we were in a building boom, so my work was chaos. I was burning myself out, working stupid hours, a lot of strain on my relationship with my wife at the time. I was basically working, going to the gym and trading. That's it. That's all I did for like 18 months. Didn't see anyone, didn't go out. And that paid off for me. Then I quit my full-time job and I traded full-time for about 12 to 18 months. Me and a few buddies were going to raise some capital, start a VC fund, use that to invest in early stage Web3 projects, like crypto projects. And after I was out of that, obviously I quit my job and bought a fancy car, right? At the time, the car was like the pinnacle of success for me, right? I was like, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to buy a Lambo. And that was like, there's nothing really beyond that. Then when I did it, I was like, okay, cool. What the fuck am I going to do now? And you hear people talk about this. They're like, oh, I retired at a young age, right? And I was 27 when I quit the 9 to 5. And I did the same thing as everyone else. I went to Wembley Golf Course. I blew through 200 balls. I got fitted for a custom made set of irons. I spent $2,500 on a set of fucking golf clubs that I didn't need. And I played golf like 3 times a week for like 3 months. And then I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I can't retire. I'm fucking 27. What am I going to do? Drive my Lambo to Wembley Golf Course with the golf clubs wedged between the... It's stupid. So that's kind of what spurred on the venture capital thing. We tried to raise money for the VC fund. It was difficult. It was in the lead up to the 2022 crash. So just as we were about to kickstart the fundraise, the market basically shit the bed. Nobody was giving out seed investments anymore. No one was giving out venture capital anymore. So that kind of fizzled into nothing. At the beginning of at the tail end of 2022, I got wrapped up in that FTX collapse. So I had quite a lot of money on there. I lost a decent chunk of our net worth on the FTX collapse. It was about 6 weeks before our wedding, and I had a cash buffer on one of my personal accounts to pay for the rest of the wedding. Gone. So I called my wife and I was like, I don't have the money to pay for the wedding, and it's in 6 weeks' time. And she just sacked our wedding planner. Great. And anyway, we ended up pulling some money together, paid for the wedding. First week of 2023, I got done for Hoon Laws in her car, and I lost my license. And she wasn't very happy, safe to say. So we had a interesting conversation, and I went and slept at my mother's house for a few nights, about 2 weeks after we got married. And after I went to my mum's, I then went down to see a mentor of mine, and I took, it was on the water, and I took a jet ski. I rode the jet ski to his house. We spent a couple of days doing some work. On the way home, I was presented with the opportunity to go the slow way through the canals where there's a speed limit, or go out in the ocean, zip across and come back in. I went the quick way. Ski died, took on water, and I sunk out in the ocean on my own. So I was stranded in the ocean with this half sunken jet ski and treading water for about 10, 15 minutes. Felt like about 3 hours. And I don't like not being able to see what's under me when I'm treading water on my own in the ocean. So there might have been a few turds floating around next to me that day. So I sunk the jet ski. Then about 2 weeks after that, I fell off a skateboard and I broke my hand. And the reason I'm using all these examples is because in my adult life, the things that I hold a lot of meaning and high regard in is my health, my wealth, and my mindset. They're the 3 pillars of my coaching business. It's why I've built everything the way that I have, is because I believe that your health, your wealth, and your mindset are kind of the 3 pillars that if you can have those worked out, you'll lead a very, happy, healthy, wealthy, fulfilling life. And in the pursuit of those things, in the pursuit of me banging my head against the wall with the things that I was trying to do, those 3 things got taken away from me. So my wealth, number 1. Then my mindset, number 2, because of the jet ski, the car, I didn't have a license. We were living in the hills at the time, so I couldn't really get around. It was a difficult time. Then my health in the broken hand. I broke my scaphoid, 12 weeks in a splint. Couldn't drive, couldn't do anything, couldn't go to the gym, obviously. There's only so many leg days you can do. And I was given Ethiopian leg jeans, so it doesn't really matter how many leg days I do. It doesn't make any difference. I can long distance run and that's about it. So I got my health taken away. And when those 3 things happened to me, when those 3 or 4 things happened to me, I was kind of like, whatever the fuck is going on right now, I'm going the wrong way. And I've missed a turning here. I've missed something. Something's wrong. And I sat down with a mentor of mine and he asked me a few questions. And one of the questions was for me to recount things in my life that I have done that have brought me a lot of ROI without money being attached to it. And in the lead up to that stuff happening at 2022, 2023, I went to a conference in Albania in October 2022. And there was an Irish guy there who was a few years younger than me, Callum, his name is, and him and I just got along really well. It was a 4 or 5 day conference in rural Albania. And there was one evening where there was a dinner. And during the dinner, we sat down, as you and I are sitting now, and blew through, I don't know how many bottles of wine and about 4 or 5 cigars. And we were supposed to be mingling and hanging around, mixing with other people there. Him and I sat locked in for about 4.5 hours. I think I went to the toilet once or twice, if that. And we talked about him, talked about his life, talked about his partner, talked about his dad, talked about his relationships, his finances, all kinds of things. And in the least funny way possible, him and I just got him. It was like I was levitating above the conversation and I could see everything that was going on. And I made a few suggestions to him about his relationship, his partner, his dad, his finances, his business. Thought nothing of it. Casual chat like we are having now. And about 2 weeks after I got home, he called me and he was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "What's going on?" His partner's name, Chloe. He goes, "Chloe dumped me the day I got home." And I was like, "George, you twat. What did you tell him or initiate or lead him into say, do, whatever?" And I went to start apologizing. And he was like, no, let me finish. And he was like, I rang you to tell you this because it's been a couple of weeks now and we're back together and we're probably the most connected we've ever been in our 7 years together. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, also, I went home and did everything you told me to do with the business and I've doubled my pricing and tripled my revenue. I'm going to do 40 grand this month. He's like 23. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. He said, and he started welling up. I already had goosebumps all up the back of my neck, hairs on my arms standing up. And he was like, I rang you to tell you this. He said, I know you're like wrapped in the crypto thing and trying to raise money and doing all this crazy shit. He was like, but I think this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I was like, what? And he's like, just think about what I said. He said, he runs a marketing agency. He was like, if you ever need anything, he lives in Ireland. He was like, if you ever need anything, if you ever want me to help you set anything up, I'm more than happy to do it for you. He said, but I think this is what you're supposed to be doing. And at the time I was like, whatever, back to the fundraise. When all that stuff happened to me at the start of 2023, and a mentor of mine asked me that question, the event that I came back to was that phone call. I got off the phone to him, tears in my eyes, walked into the kitchen, told my wife what had happened. And she was like, what do you make of it? And I was like, I don't really know. And I didn't know what to think of it at the time. And then when presented with that question, mid 2023, I thought about it and I was like, that's it. That's where my fulfillment is. That's where, whether it's in service of others or, making a meaningful difference, doing something a little bit bigger than yourself, trading's cool and you can make some money, but you're not leaving the world a better place by extracting some money out of the financial markets. And I learned that the hard way. And off the back of that conversation, I sat across from a mentor of mine and he was like, "You've been putting this off for a while." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, you've been putting this off for a while. I was like, "Yeah, fuck, I guess I kind of have." And he was like, "You know what you need to do?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I went home and I had this, I don't live there anymore, but my old house, I had this whiteboard on the wall there. And I went to start writing stuff on the whiteboard and I filled the whole whiteboard in like 30 minutes, transferred across onto the window, filled the whole window. And I wrote my whole, thesis and business plan and everything about the coaching business and what I would integrate into it and how I would mesh it in with trading and all of the things. And it was like this weird, divine, synchronistic moment of like, this is what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. As soon as I did that, green light, green light, green light, green light, green light. And I mentioned to you before, like if you don't have any signs, you're going the wrong way. Well, that was kind of me, I guess. Parts of 2017 all the way through to 2022 was some green lights, sure, but a lot of red lights. And, to answer your question, like that process, the reason I use such a long story is because people have this warped perception that you just pick, that's bullshit. That's not how life works. That is not reality. For me, that is how I came to be in this position. There's 6 or 7 failed entrepreneurial startups there. There's a fucking emoji air freshener business that's not worth the paper it's written on. Luxury car hire business plan that didn't work out. A plumbing apprenticeship, a building inspection business, and trading the financial markets. All these things ultimately pushing me to the crescendo, which was the most fulfilling and meaningful experience I've ever had in my entire life, is helping somebody else. He didn't pay me any money. It was like this divine synchronistic moment of connection where that was like the penny drop of this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And as soon as I turned my attention to that, my life has felt a lot more aligned since. So long answer to the question, but that's the process that led me up to sitting here today.
Definitely. And it's I've quite a similar story in terms of how I got there as well. And it's funny how so many, when I think one of the missing values that a lot of people have when they're just in service of themselves is contribution. They contribute, everything contributions for themselves. I think when you're not serving others or have something bigger beyond yourself, or you're not contributing, you can't be fulfilled. You can be for a bit, but you're not fulfilled. You just
it's temporary.
Dialed in, and over time you're going to start fucking throwing parts of your life. You're going to start sabotaging in different ways because you can't. We're not built to just be fully narcissistic and just dial. I mean, there's seasons you got to. You got to lock in. Do it.
Sure.
Lock in. Yeah. Like, whether in your 20s, but in the end, it's like no amount of money is going to replace like contribution.
Yeah. I think we get distracted with that in the modern world. Like we live a fast-paced, attention-seeking society, but if you strip it all back, what are we actually supposed to be doing? We're supposed to be reproducing. We're supposed to be going to the toilet, looking after our young. Like that's kind of fundamentally, from a primitive point of view, what we're supposed to be doing. When you're doing those things, whether it's your tribe, your kids, your family, your clients, providing for them, having meaningful experiences, conversations, that's sort of fundamentally what human beings are supposed to be doing.
Definitely.
I think we get distracted from that sometimes.
Of course, definitely. In terms of motivation, I always like thinking motivation is there's like light motivation, which is like purpose, fulfillment, that sort of thing, alignment. And then there's dark motivation, which is pain, fuck you, I'll show you, motherfucker. Yeah, so-and-so said I can't do it, I'll show you. How we all have light and dark. How would you, with yourself, say your makeup is?
As in the weighting of them? Probably now a little bit more in the middle. I struggled with having my dad on a pedestal as a younger man. So I pedestalized my dad and he left my mother for another woman, which was kind of my beginning of my sabotaging tendencies. So for me, it was always nothing I ever do is going to be good enough for my dad. That was my story. And I ran that story for a very fucking long time. And every time in my life I felt as if I was going to surpass him physically, mentally, in my relationships, financially, I would subconsciously sabotage myself to bring myself back down to an area less than him because I've got him up here and me down here and I just wanted his approval. Consciously, obviously you don't want to do that. We spoke about this before. I don't consciously wake up and go, I'm going to fuck up my finances today. I'm excited to derail my relationship at about 3:15 this afternoon. Nobody does that. It's a subconscious game. So that was kind of what I struggled with, and that waiting for me was a lot bigger. I did a lot of work on my dad. I've done a lot of personal development work now, and as you know, the personal development journey never really ends. It just, the hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper as you go in it. But I feel like the scales have rebalanced a little bit there to a more of a 50-50. what did you refer to it as? Light motivation?
Like, yeah.
The light motivation for me is all the things that I'm working on now. It's the things that I'm doing. It's sort of I guess the conscious side of it. The dark motivation was that, but I've pondered on this over the last few years. The dark motivation, I think, for me right now today is I get really annoyed with myself if I have a conversation about what if, right? I would rather go down that avenue, have it not work out, blow up in my face, end up, in a world of shit off the back of it, but I gave it a go. For me, the hardest thing, the thing that I don't want to happen when I get to the end of my life is for me to say, what if I'd, it's what if I'd done that? Why didn't I do that? What, the left wondering of I could have been more, I could have done more, I could have seen more, had more, been more. I don't want to have that. That would be a lot of my dark motivation now. And I think it's a bit of a cliche quote, right? But do you know where the richest place on earth is? Do you know?
Internally?
No.
Yeah, no.
The richest place on earth is the graveyard. Why? Because everybody's dead dreams, aspirations, all the things that you could have been, right? Advances in medical science, billion-dollar startups, tech products, whatever, right? They've gone to the graveyard and died. Why? Because they didn't go after it. They'd let someone else get in the way, a story, a parent, a coworker. The richest place on earth is where 95% of the population's dead dreams are. That's where the richest place on earth is. And for me, the fear of that happening to me is part of my dark motivation now. I don't want to get to the graveyard and go, you fucked around and wasted time, George. That scares the shit out of me.
Definitely. I think we need both. I think most of the time, it's funny how you said your relationship with your father. I think pretty much anecdotally, almost most high achieving men don't get approval from their father. And that's part of the dark fuel source in however that's packaged in whatever way. So I think normally pain and dark motivation, and I'll fucking show you, like that, almost like that MJ mentality. Yeah. It almost does drive almost everyone to a point. Yeah. And then they start blowing shit up. Yeah. Shit doesn't feel alignment, get your license taken away from you, pull up a relationship. Yeah. So then you start, I think, hit that point where if you have the introspective capacity to actually start to slow down and go, what the fuck is the universe teaching me? Yeah. And then that journey starts. I don't know, that might be in your 20s, it might be in your fucking 50s after your second divorce, it might be. So it's funny. And then having that opportunity to be able to then transition into primary, fuel source being dark motivation to primary being light, but still having dark because in your back pocket, because you need it. Yeah. There's times you need it's the yin and yang. Yeah, 100%. You need to have that. I'll show you, motherfucker, as well. And there's times it's not all just love and light and inspiration and purpose. And I think that fuel source will get you so much further because you just allow more flow into your life and you got bigger purpose. And, so it's a very interesting thing I've thought about a lot lately, because the people I know that long-term, even if they're successful by external metrics, who aren't fulfilled, normally it's all dark motivation. And it's still some fucker that said something to them, probably like a primary caretaker when they were young, that they just can't let go of.
That's right. And I think the longer that goes on unnoticed, the bigger the bang when it goes bang. Because some of those people have a big bang. That can be early 40s, that can be, early 60s, could be late 20s. But if you don't notice that dark side and you allow it to fester and grow and grow and grow, when it comes to a crescendo, it's normally a big fuck up.
Definitely. How do you check yourself when you're out of alignment?
That's a good question. I think it's I've found myself to be becoming a lot better at receiving feedback and noticing the feedback. And you've heard me say it a couple of times already, and I sort of bang on about it. When I don't receive feedback, I'm out of alignment. Like if I feel as if, some of it I signed NDAs for, so I can't go into details, but I've been looking at a few businesses and things recently, right? And there's been a couple of things that have come up that, I use the term lightly, not giving me the ick, but like I'm a bit like, ooh, right? And for me, that's like alarm bell for out of alignment. So let me just recheck. Let me check back in here. Fortunately, obviously we live together, work together. My wife is as intelligent as I am, if not more intelligent. So she's a good shoulder to bounce, a friend to bounce things off. We will notice this stuff coming up and I'm like, this feels forced. It feels wrong. It feels like I'm pushing this too much. Life is supposed to be easy, and entrepreneurship's not easy, but life if you allow it to, can unfold very beautifully if you're on the right track. And I feel like my out of alignment trigger is when I'm forcing shit, I'm trying too hard to make things happen. It feels like a constant uphill slog. When that's happening, I normally have to check myself and say, all right, let me do a little bit of stock take right now. What's flowing? Where am I in flow? Where am I not in flow? Where do we keep hitting the wall? No. Do we need to recalibrate here? Maybe this isn't the right time. You know, some of those businesses things I spoke about at the moment, some of those may come to fruition, some of them may not. The ones that not, it's just a sign that, okay, it's not no, it's just not yet. You know, it's sort of my alignment checker of, I feel like a good way to use a metric to keep that for your own accord is your feedback mechanism. When you're out of alignment, life, God, universe, spirit will feed back to you fast. If you can tune your antenna to pick up on that, then you get to say, okay, let me just pause, assess, you know, am I doing this for the right reasons, the wrong reasons? I think if you can tune your frequency to pick up on that, you get very good at recalibrating back into alignment.
And it's great feedback they have, you know, from your partner, because obviously there's masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah.
If we're, I mean, most pretty upper masculine guys.
Yeah.
Force.
Let's fucking go energy.
Especially if they, which you need. You know, you do. And you need to be probably predominantly masculine, but the feminine has a role in here, intuitive, slowing down,
100%.
flow. And the thing is, that's what I think a lot of partners give.
Yeah.
Guys that are very like intelligent and driven is they'll have blind spots around intuition, because a lot of male intuition is pretty shit.
Yeah.
Like as well, it gets better with time, but I think as you work on the feminine within yourself, you intuitively get better. You allow flow to come in more, but like a woman's got to pick that up.
Yeah,
a lot. And even though they might not have as high, your partner, well, not your partner, just someone in general, their partner might not have the business acumen or that. And a lot of guys they'll almost say, oh, well, you don't have the intellect or you haven't done what I've done, so I'm not going to take your feedback. They see things from a different perspective that you don't see, which is going to actually help the primary thing you're working on.
I think that's one of the important things about a relationship. I mean, it's a lot of people get into a relationship and you slowly morph your partner into a female version of yourself, which is a horrible fucking idea. You want your relationship and your partner to, or your partner in particular, you want your partner to continue to hold their own individuality. You keep yours. You find the little overlap where the two of you link, and then you continue to work on things together while simultaneously leading your individual lives. Most people want to just do everything together. You just become a clone, and you would never want to date yourself. I wouldn't want to. Yeah, I would never want to date me. And I think if your partner is in that category of, you know, they know themselves, they've got their own sense of individuality, then their ability to spot your blind spots is better than anyone. If it's the right partner, better than anyone else you'll ever meet. If you turn them into you, they'll have the same blind spots as you.
Yeah, correct. Just pivoting a little bit from this into more a lot of the biohacking that you do.
Yeah.
Because we've already gone there. So what's the number one tool that you've adopted that's changed your life?
In terms of biohacking? I would say data. So I've always been into fitness. I've always been into the gym. When I started QC, initially I wanted to do what 10X Health were doing in Australia. They currently don't offer that. So I basically built my own version of it. And that was the first time I'd really had some exposure into very, very personalized health. Everybody goes to the gym. Everybody does all the right things, right? You know, there's a sauna and ice bath in here. People have all these practices, but in the pursuit of me trying to do things a little bit differently and going for a, not curly, but like a different approach, I have found that actually this one size fits all approach to everyone's got a sauna, everyone's got an ice bath, everyone's got to do low carb carnivore diet. That's bullshit. That is complete bullshit. There is a very, very custom and individualized approach to health for everybody, and my own pursuit of that for myself, and then being able to give that to the clients and offering that as a standalone product, that has given me the biggest ROI, because the data doesn't lie. Like some of the stuff you can look at now is blow your head off. You can see, you know, for example, how much your DNA has deteriorated by, like chronologically, I'm 32. Biologically, I have a different number. If that's above 32, you've got some work to do. If it's below 32, great, but you can look at bringing it down even further. The pursuit of that has shown me that if you can get yourself into a physically optimized state, which you can do very easily from a few small tweaks, supplementing in accordance with your deficiency, eating in accordance with your diet. You know, I can't speak to my clients because it's confidential, but with my own results, like I know how I should eat, how I should exercise. I know that I have a genetic makeup of a hunter-gatherer. I thrive in a high-stress environment. I respond well to fasting. I have to exercise very regularly, and all these little things. I'm like, so that's my map. If I just follow that map, I get into a physically optimized state. The last probably 3 years, I've been very, very, I guess, linear in my approach to staying in that state. Holy shit. Quality of the conversations you have, your memory, cognitively, you're on the ball all the fucking time, your ability to retain information, you meet people and they've got the X factor, right? Most of those people, I say it politely, aren't majorly overweight and unhealthy. Most of the people you meet and they got the spark, they got the X factor, it's normally because they're physically optimized. And that is becoming, 5 years ago, the word biohacking didn't exist. Now it's everywhere. For me, the personalized, data-driven approach to health has given me a penny drop moment of, okay, everybody has a blueprint and a roadmap. Find out what yours is and follow it, and you will decimate the competition.
Definitely. Do you feel in terms of morning routines, I feel like there's been a shift with them. I feel like they were getting morning routines were getting glorified, and if you want to be a millionaire, multi-millionaire, if you want to be whatever.
If you want to be Aston Hall, you got to rub ice cubes on your face.
It's built a good brand out of it though. Not much depth to it, but in terms of what's your thoughts on just that general space of particularly morning routines?
So I'm biased. I have a chronotype that's suited to a morning routine. I'm an early riser. Everything about my genetic blueprint is get the fuck up early in the morning, George. That doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. However, from my own experience, it doesn't really matter what it is, but if I have some kind of morning routine, I'm good for the day.
Yeah.
For me, that looks like a gym session in the morning. I normally come home, I'll turn the sauna on, I'll go for a walk into the rising sun. Sometimes I'll walk along the beach if I want some grounding. I'll come home, I'll do a sauna, I'll ice bath. If I'm training legs that day, I won't ice bath because it blah, 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 blah. Then I will get dressed, have a coffee, read my Stoic page, done. So for me, if I do that, the difference between my day when I do that and don't is astronomical. However, that's not suitable. And as I found out in the last few years, that's not suitable for everyone. Some people don't respond well to early mornings. Some people have carbohydrate requirements that requires them to eat within an hour of waking. Like, I have found the morning routine to catapult me towards where I'm trying to go. So I'm a big advocate of it, but I also understand that that's not for everyone. But speaking from my own experience, 100%.
Yeah.
Sets you up for a good day. There's no distractions then. No one's calling me at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the morning routine boat, left the harbor a long time ago, but it's not for everyone.
Definitely. I think it's one of those things, as you said, it's just whatever works for you.
Yeah.
And whether that's training in the morning, whether that's just getting up and just fucking coffee, get into it.
Yeah.
It's an ice bath or not, or go for a run. I think the main thing is just get into a state that's allows you to get in that state to fucking get after it. And
maybe the caveat there also is that it's not that or nothing. Like, if you're going to change it, cool, that's fine, but make it something, right? I had a client call today and we were talking about this particular individual wants to get back into the gym. And I literally said, I was like, do you like going to the gym? He's like, no, not really, no. I was like, cool, you're not going to the gym. Fuck that. You'll give it away easily. At the first sign of trouble, you'll get rid of it. What do you like doing? I won't go into details, but it was a certain type of sport that's not the gym. I'm like, cool, let's go do that. Why don't we do that 2-3 days a week? Because you like that. You're going to enjoy that. It's cardiovascular fitness. No point me forcing you to go to the gym when you don't like it. So again, with the investing question you asked me before, physical health, it's something that should complement your existing lifestyle and enable you to continue the pursuit of it, not an uphill slog that requires 3.5 hours every morning when you're not a morning person. It's kind of like this dance between what works for me that I'm able to sustain and continue to do that moves the needle little bit by bit every day towards where I'm trying to go. Better that than nothing at all.
Definitely. It's very, very healthy to have, that, and have not that all or nothing, and having that self-awareness, not to just build in a 3-hour routine if you don't need to.
Exactly.
And shame yourself for not doing that routine arbitrarily.
Exactly.
Because most of the time there's elements of a lot of people's routines, so it's totally unnecessary. I think, and that's where it's just trial and error. Doing trial and error, see what works. Like for me, I used to do a more same thing. I get up like 5:30 every day anyway. It depends what days I'm coming in early, seeing clients. Okay. I can see clients from 6:45 in the morning. Okay. And on the mornings I treat. But then now these days I just get up, I'll have a cold shower, have a magic mind, boom, ready to go.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Like some days I might go 2 days a week, might go for a run with the boys. A couple of days is just get into work.
Yeah.
All other days I think it's just like main thing for me is get in the right state. And then just like whatever needs to be done, just get into it.
And I think the whole biohacking movement, like I said with the testing and stuff before, it's shining a light on that. Like there's a particular client of mine. He's not like an avid gym goer. He likes badminton and he does a little bit of sports. He lost 24 kilos in 3 months from just diet and the right supplements and getting rid of all the shit that's not working. So it's not all about the gym routine. It's not about the 5 a.m. gym club or the 5 a.m. run club or whatever, right? There are different things that are applicable to different people and different people respond to different things. As long as you can figure out what works for you and you actually do it, then that's, in my opinion, that's what everyone should focus on, not this one size fits all. I'll meet you at the gym or you're a fucking loser. No,
Yeah, exactly.
That's not right.
So if crypto went to zero and all your assets went to zero tomorrow,
Yeah.
who would George be without that?
Who would I be without the crypto and the assets tomorrow? That's a good question. I'd be the same me. So I'd sort of just, I think as a younger man, I attached a lot of my identity to material possessions. I had, as I said, goals of leaving the workforce and buying an expensive car and couldn't see beyond that. As an older man now in my early 30s, well, not older, but now that I'm in my early 30s, I don't have the same level of attachment to material stuff, to, expensive things. It's kind of just, they're just sort of, I don't know, they don't have the same meaning as they did before. So me without that stuff is actually the same me that's sitting here talking to you now. It's just my focus and my priorities and my obligation, as I said to you at the start, has become a lot more aligned to leaving the world a little bit better place than I found it, contributing towards helping other people achieving what they want to do, being a good father, being a good husband, being a good role model, showing up as the best possible version of myself every day. If you took everything away from me, I would largely do exactly the same as what I do every day now. Like I've built, constructed and designed my life around me being fulfilled every day. And if you take everything away from me, I'll make every effort I can to rebuild that back in the same way that I do it now.
Beautiful. You're in alignment.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that in the personal development industry, your clients are always previous and fractured versions of yourself.
100%.
Because they see something in you that they perceive is within them, which it obviously is, because we're all holographic. And I think that for me, I've attracted a certain type of clientele because I've gone tradie, trader, I guess digital entrepreneur, if you want to fucking use that terminology, into now sort of high performance coach. So naturally people who are in the 9 to 5 or in the matrix looking to get out of it are drawn to me because of that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that that's the kind of clientele that I attracted. But at the start I was like, oh, like I'm keen for whoever. Now when I read the applications, I'm like, oh, they're me.
Yeah.
I'm them, they're me. He's me, she's me,
It's funny how often it's the you 5 to 10 years ago that
Exactly.
Yeah. And because the thing is, you've walked the walk and you've got through those obstacles. They see that in you.
100%. Yeah. They perceive that you've done something that they believe that they can't do, which is nonsense. They can. And they believe that by bringing themselves into your world, it will help them accomplish that, which I find super interesting. And I think I say this quote to everybody at the start. Any one-on-one client that works with me, I always say this to them at the start. If you believe in quantum physics, which you're an intelligent man, you would, then the quantum physics basically says that there are a multitude of different realities that exist at any one time, meaning that there's a gazillion versions of Ryan, and all of those are available to you at any one point in time, depending on what choices you make. So when you leave here, you might turn left. Tomorrow morning, you might have your drink, or you might go to the gym first. And if all of those realities exist already, and you get to decide which one that you tap into, then what that means, arguably, we don't have free will, which is a rabbit hole in and of itself. But if your destinies are already cut, it's just you get to decide which one that you tap into, then that means there's a version of you that exists in the future that is being all of the things that you're trying to do. So in actual fact, the last thing to accomplish or feel or associate with what you're trying to achieve is your sensory perception, touch, taste, smell, sight, and sound, meaning that version of you that exists in the quantum realm somewhere, go and get familiar with that version of yourself today. That version of you eats a certain way, dresses a certain way, drives a certain way, treats a certain type of client, interviews a certain type of person. Go and get familiar with that version of yourself today. Bring that version of yourself back into the present moment and start to walk, talk, sleep, exercise, eat, associate like that version of you today as a frequency. And it's only a matter of time before that quantum reality comes into your field of existence.
Brilliant. Very good. Just embodying it.
100%.
And not just from a cognitive level, but from a actually truly embodying.
Yeah, like a frequency game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because you can't logically work your way through this shit.
No.
It's they gotta think it, feel it, see it, taste it, and the more real that is, like you just embody it much easier. It's like people see, like, they're not a world champion, and or whatever. And
exactly.
So you have to see it before you can become it.
The Conor McGregor interview is a good example of that. It's literally that. He says, I've been here before. This feeling is familiar to me. Well, it ain't, because he hasn't won the belt before. So what is that feeling, right? And we have this cause and effect relationship with, when I hit the winning trade, I'm going to feel rich. When my wife tells me, I'm good looking, then I'll feel worthy. When the boss gives me praise, then I'm going to feel like a good member of the workforce. It's the cause and effect relationship that has us constantly yearning for things that are outside of our control. Instead of causing the effect, I am already wealthy and my life feeds that back to me. I'm already in the fulfilling relationship and my wife, et cetera, et cetera. But we have that the wrong way around. Yeah. And we chase that external validation always instead of beaming that out from internally.
Yeah,
which turns you into a magnet, by the way, when you do that.
Big time. Yeah.
As I mentioned, the X factor thing, right? Yeah. You meet someone, you're like, fuck me dead. I want to take this guy to lunch. Yeah. I want to buy this guy a car. I want to hang out with this person. I'd like to spend more time with this person. They got the X factor. It's just them broadcasting, them causing the effect. Whatever niche, whatever they do, people that are magnetic have that because they cause their effect on their external environment instead of waiting for it to show them what they're trying to achieve.
How can people work with you?
So I've got a variety of different programs. I've got some one-on-one coaching. I've got my blood and genetic testing. We've got a few other little things in the pipeline. You can find me on my website, which is quantumclub.com.au. I've got my personal brand, georgelewer.com. I'm on Instagram. Anywhere.
You can see you flying around Lamborghinis around Perth.
Correct, you can, yeah. Although I don't...
with the red and blue lights.
I personally didn't never break the speed limit, so I wouldn't know anywhere. I wouldn't know anything about that.
You can't do that much.
No, I've never been more than 101 kilometers per hour. But no, you can find me on all my socials, my website, the Quantum Club website, follow me on Instagram, and yeah.
Awesome. All right, thanks for your time, man. It's been a pleasure connecting. Good luck for the little one in the next few weeks, and probably next time I see you,
I'll be at
audition. Is that correct?
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, mate.